On a busy morning, in the heart of a bustling city, Tony, a young man clad in a crisp uniform, entered an elevator in the high-rise building where he worked. He nodded politely to the sleepy occupants already in it, as their eyes focused more on their smartphones than each other. Tony was known for being cheerful, often humming as he went about his duties in the mail department. As the elevator doors were about to close, an older woman hurriedly slipped in, muttering apologies. She seemed flustered, her face a mix of stress and urgency. Tony caught her eye for a brief moment and offered a warm smile. "Busy day ahead?" he asked gently, trying to ease her tension. She nodded, barely maintaining her balance in the crowded lift. "Yes, my son is sick, and I need to juggle a trip to the pediatrician between meetings," she replied. The other passengers remained distant, eyes glued to their screens. Tony, however, continued to engage. "I hope he recovers soon. Sounds like you've got a lot on your plate." A few floors up, the elevator stopped and in walked a grumpy-looking young man. He was rugged, with a grim expression which seemed to create an invisible wall around him. Without acknowledging anyone, he pressed his desired floor and leaned against the cold metallic wall. Tony, ever optimistic, gently addressed him, "Having one of those days?" The young man glanced sideways, his eye softened for just a second before he grunted, "You could say that. Some days, everything just feels like too much." Unbeknownst to Tony, this young man, Alex, was fighting his own silent battle. He had lost his job unexpectedly and was on his way to an interview for a position he desperately needed. As the elevator continued its ascent, a gentle conversation brewed among the three. The older woman, whose name was Linda, shared anecdotes. Linda spoke about balancing her roles as a mother and a career woman, while Alex, loosening up, spoke about the challenge of finding stability in unpredictable times. Then, shortly after this bond was being formed, the elevator jolted to an unexpected halt. Red emergency lights flickered as a sense of anxiety descended upon them. A collective gasp swept through the elevator. Alex, who had been silently persuasive in his air of detachment, broke out, "Great! This just tops off the day perfectly." Tony, trying to remain calm, said, "Don't worry, these things are usually resolved pretty quickly. Let's take this as an opportunity to breathe and talk." And so they did, the strangers sharing stories they typically hid behind walls of privacy. Linda relayed the bits of wisdom she gained from raising a child with a chronic illness, revealing her layers of strength and resilience masked beneath her hurried exterior. She admitted, "I rush around so often that I forget there are people all around me, fighting their own battles." Even Alex opened up, admitting his fears and the vulnerability he felt moving through life without the safety net he'd always counted on. "This is new for me," he confessed. "You get used to portraying strength even when you're falling apart inside." Tony nodded, revealing his own story subtly. "When my mom passed last year, I too had to summon a strength I didn't know was there. I've realized that everyone you meet is fighting a battle you don't know about, so I try to always be kind." His words lingered in the enclosed space, weaving a thread of understanding among these strangers unified by circumstance. After what seemed like an eternity, the elevator resumed its motion. As it reached its destination, they each took a moment to reflect. Linda thanked Tony for his kindness and perspective. "Your positivity really changed my day, maybe even beyond this day." Alex, now more composed and perhaps a little inspired, clapped Tony on the shoulder. "Thanks, man. I won't forget this." As Tony continued with his day at work, a subtle shift in his spirit gave him solace. His small, simple act of kindness had created ripples that morning, leaving a profound impact on all those involved. Everyone went their separate ways, yet not without the quiet promise,